Did Queen Elizabeth I die because of her makeup routine? Today we're talking about Queen Elizabeth I, the royal family beauty influencer who most likely died because of her beauty routine, and over the obsession of her image that may have led to her death. In a nutshell, did Queen Elizabeth I die because of too much concealer or cover-up? Because her foundation was too much of a full coverage situation? Please subscribe to Hot for History, where we share quirky history lessons that we are positive your history books and your history teacher never dared to teach you. Queen Elizabeth I's uber pale, iconic complexion was developed from a toxic beauty and skincare routine that was as lethal as Snow White's apple. Snow White at least woke up. So think of it this way, Elizabeth I was the influencer of her time. Everyone copied her look, which meant people are going to have looks that actually kill. Elizabeth's beauty was the standard for women in the 16th century. So she was the cover girl, even though this predates Vogue or Harper's Bazaar. If she had swag and a makeup line, everybody would have bought it because they were doing exactly what she was doing. They were trying to copy the queen. Elizabeth would not even release portraits of herself without looking perfect. And this was in the 16th century. So even her oil paintings had to present her with her own bold Elizabethan glamour type filter, only it was paint. Nobody looks natural in that bold glamour filter, I'm just saying. So when Queen Elizabeth I was a teen, she was beautiful and she didn't really wear that much makeup, but then she caught smallpox. She had a very high fever and she almost died. And unfortunately, the disease left her with permanent scars, which was very common with smallpox. Smallpox scars were a common problem at the time, and the women were using their types of concealers and they were looking to see what the queen was doing. In her case, it was more like plaster of Paris. Queen Elizabeth I was also very obsessed with her image. She didn't have an iPhone at the time, obviously, to take selfies, but she did hire painters to paint her portrait, to create a 16th century version of a filtered look. Now, their job was to make her look very young and very pretty and very filtered out, like a lot of light at her. You know those filters that make you kind of lose your nose and you can't really tell what their skin looks like? That's what she wanted with her actual makeup and her portraits to look like. She would have loved that AI filter, Lenza, because she could really be a queen, put on whatever crown she wanted. And she wore that makeup even as she aged, but her skin had corroded. Originally, it was because of the smallpox, but now there was a bigger problem because of the makeup she was using. Those portraits better not show crow's feet, chin bags, thinning lips, or sagging skin, because she was the daughter of Henry VIII, and everybody would go to the tower if a royal was offended or felt threatened. She basically was catfishing in real time. So there's this famous portrait that was painted by this painter from the Netherlands in 1575. He had to represent her as something she wasn't. Young, with impeccable skin and hair, and this headshot was hers forever. We see it everywhere. Her lips are very, very red. Why was her skin starting to corrode? It couldn't still be from the smallpox, right? She was having to cover up her corroded skin with makeup continually, and she would put it on thicker and thicker. Was she having to cover up her corroded skin with makeup because it was just bad skin? Or was the skin actually corroding, and was she languishing with blood poisoning because of her makeup and the ingredients inside of her makeup, brought on by the use of lead-based makeup known as Venetian ceruse? She was just loaded with mucus and sepsis. Could Queen Elizabeth I's coronation ring have been the cause of her death? Close to the time of her death, Elizabeth's coronation ring had grown into her flesh. This was due to the fact that she had never removed it in 45 years during her reign. Right before her death, her doctors were like, we need to get that ring off. We need to get it off because you're going to have an infection. She would not have it removed, and she ended up dying a week later. So somebody better tell the king about this, because King Charles is about to have his coronation, and we know what his fingers have looked like. He has swollen fingers, so he better watch out for that coronation ring, because he wouldn't be the first royal to have a problem with his coronation. coronation ring. Her makeup remover even was probably a culprit in burning her skin away because it also had lead and mercury in it. She didn't wash her face or her makeup off except for once a week. And you know she didn't use toner, she didn't exfoliate, and she did not use moisturizer. And the natural look, by the way, was not the style at the time. Not the style. We'd have to wait all the way to Queen Victoria to get that natural look. White skin was the look of the time, and I'm talking like she put that stuff on till it was an inch thick. When Elizabeth finally had her makeup removed, her makeup remover may have been a disgusting, gross recipe concoction that contained alum, eggshells, mercury. So some claim that the mercury makeup remover left their skin soft, but that was only because it was literally skinning them alive one layer at a time. She also probably did not smell the greatest from the vinegar makeup, and I imagine it smelled sort of like the back alley of a New York City rock club or the very busy small dressing room at a Paris Fashion Week. I'm just saying, at the end of Paris Fashion Week, it is not a beautiful smell. It just smells like perfume over sweat. Just saying. Fast forward to the era of TikTok, virtual filters, and she would have loved these virtual filters, and she would have been safer. She would have loved this era. We do know that applying lead-based makeup to the face on a daily basis, not washing it off, letting it become an inch thick, could cause very serious and often irreversible problems, including hair loss and skin deterioration. Let's talk about the embarrassing real reason why Queen Elizabeth I wore a wig. Queen Elizabeth I started wearing a wig because she just wanted to match her hair color, and she also was turning gray. So she just wanted to cover it and be fashionable. And she thought it made her skin look better. And then after the years, her hair started to thin. People suspected she was wearing a wig for different reasons, and many people do believe that her hair was thinning as she started to have issues with her skin and her overall health. There's no shame in that because now wigs are like a $6 billion industry. Dolly Parton, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, even the Queen Beyonce wears a wig. In 1599, Robert Devereux, he was the second Earl of Essex. He walked into Queen Elizabeth I's bedchamber. He was unannounced. He's in the Queen's bedroom, and she's there without her makeup or her wig, looking almost completely bald with the exception of 2 ponytailed sideburns. Some people say she didn't lose her hair. Some people say she was perfect to the end. We know that massive amounts of lead poisoning in the 16th century could cause death, but people wore wigs because of STDs. Now, she was a virgin, so I'm not saying that, but also because of lice. She did also eat tons of sugar. I mean, so much so that her teeth also may have been falling out, or maybe that's just another bit of propaganda. Sort of like Haley and Kylie throwing it at Selena, just saying. But some of her health issues could have been caused by the fact that she ate sugar with everything. She even brushed her teeth with sugar. She had sugar-covered bacon, walnuts, eggs, and sugar was on everything. She had to have many teeth pulled, and you know she wasn't using porcelain veneers after that. But it is true that also the poor people would pull their teeth and give them to the dentist to create dentures for the richer people. She also used mercury on her lips. This was before fillers, and women, by the way, would either pinch, poke, or bite their lips to make them look redder or more plump. Her lips were pretty thin, but her lipstick did have mercury in it as well. It was made from cinnabar, which is a toxic mineral. So she had lead, mercury, sugar, possibly lice through skin absorption over long periods of time. Her facial skin started to corrode, and what did she end up doing? She put on more of the lead-based makeup on top of the corrosion. They didn't have European grade makeup without the toxins with natural. They didn't have gluten-free makeup or vegan makeup. No, it was lead. You paid the price to look gorgeous. When she died, she had an inch of foundation on her face. Symptoms of lead and mercury poison include memory loss, irritability, depression, conditions that Elizabeth had. So the Queen's Lady of the Bedchamber refused to allow allow Elizabeth's body to be subject to a post-mortem. Some argued that this was to safeguard the Queen's reputation as a virgin. But there also were rumors, by the way, that she wasn't even a woman at all, but that she was a dude and she was an imposter. That's for a different video, guys. So in 1586, a 50s-ish Elizabeth had made a speech in Parliament and couldn't even avoid using complexion references and metaphors because she was so obsessed with her face and her complexion. She said, "We princes, I tell you, are set on stages in the sight and view of all. A spot is soon spied in our garments. A blemish noted quickly in our doings." During her final days, Elizabeth expressed regret about ordering the execution of her cousin, Mary, Queen of Scots. Elizabeth shed many tears. She was very, very regretful. And she would always say, "I never consented to the execution of the Queen." Some people say that her skin and her beauty issues could have been from her deep regret, trying to cover it up. One of her lady-in-waitings reported that the Queen was haunted by visions of Mary, Queen of Scots' frail body. On March 24th, 1603, Elizabeth I passed away because she was toxic. Things were corroding on her body, but it could have been pneumonia, could have been cancer, it could have been all of those things combined. Lead and mercury poisoning, too much sugar creating candida, sepsis from her ring finger. She shouldn't really have been queen, and in the end, the coronation ring finger kills her. The lead makeup she was using dated way back. People were using that in the 5th century BC. Her makeup was eventually determined to be a poison in 1634, way over 30 years after her death. This queen died because she was trying to maintain an image for her kingdom, and she was miserable. Take this as a lesson. I mean, applaud the celebrities like J-Lo, Rihanna, Alicia Keys, Adele, Bella Thorne, Gigi Hadid, and even Beyonce, who sometimes are caught in public without makeup, and TMZ and the gossip magazines like to show them. Applaud them for showing their natural beauty. Ladies, we are all queens. Live your best life in all of your flaws and imperfections, even your pockmarks. And screw any makeup routine that includes too much cover-up or concealer. Never forget the story of Queen Elizabeth I. And go forth, queens, in your reign, in your bare-faced beauty. Please subscribe to Hot for History, where we share quirky history lessons that we are positive your history books and your history teacher never dared to teach you.